Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. I'm the host of this podcast, Lane Frank. We're now on episode 193. So 193 episodes through. I got action-packed episode planned for you. We didn't do an episode last week, everybody, so that means we got extra stuff to talk about today. And I am so proud as a Michigan Wolverines fan because they took down the Ohio State Buckeyes. But that wasn't the only thing that we had in sports last week. We had great college basketball tournaments, great weeks in the NFL with Thanksgiving, and obviously the college football playoff is coming up. We're going to talk all about that in this great episode 193. Let's hop into it. Let's start off episode 193, how we always do, with our headlines in the NFL. The Dallas Cowboys, of course, play on Thanksgiving every year, and they got a win on Thanksgiving this year over my New York Giants. Nice win for Cooper Rush and company on Thanksgiving. The Detroit Lions, they play on Thanksgiving every year. They lose on Thanksgiving every year, but this year, they got a win, and they ended Matt Eberflus's job in the NFL. He'll never be an NFL head coach again, rightfully so. It's a great football game, good little comeback by the Bears, good little comeback ruined by Matt Eberflus. And the Lions walk out of there with the win. Only one loss still in the season to the Buccaneers. Green Bay Packers, everybody, they played a great Thursday night football, Thanksgiving football game against the Miami Dolphins. Miami, just no real chance to prepare for it. You're playing in sunny weather all week. You go up to the freezing tundra. That is Green Bay. And of course, Green Bay handles you. They're a better team. They're better for the elements. And Green Bay, huge showdown this week with Detroit. We're going to talk about that. Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. The Chiefs had their Black Friday game and pulled out their voodoo magic, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. They somehow win every game, it seems like, except that one against the Bills, but they won again this week. Chiefs over the Raiders. Again, they're not going to blow you out. They're not going to kill you, even though if they should against a team like the Raiders, but they're going to get the win, and that's exactly what they did on Friday. Los Angeles Chargers, everybody, they're rolling. You know, they had that tough loss to the Baltimore Ravens in the Harbaugh Bowl, but then their defense stepping up big against the Atlanta Falcons. They've got a big game upcoming this week against the Kansas City Chiefs. Pittsburgh Steelers, everybody, this might just be the best offense in the NFL, and they turned together a great offensive game on Sunday against Cincinnati Bengals. It goes 44-38, and these are games that they don't win with Justin Fields as quarterback. Mike Tomlin is a damn smart football coach. He knew what he was doing when he put Russell Wilson in there over Justin Fields, and it's worked out great so far. Wilson has his offense playing like the best offense in the NFL. 44 points on Sunday. You'd love to see it out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Minnesota Vikings, everybody, probably shouldn't have won on Sunday. Probably shouldn't have won a lot of their past few games. But yet they're 10-2, maybe the most fraudulent 10-2 you'll ever see, but they're 10-2, and you can't doubt it. Nice one Sunday over the Arizona Cardinals. Good little comeback. Even though, struggling for a while, they did piece it together then to get that comeback. Indianapolis Colts took down New England Patriots. It was close, and I think this Patriots offense is improving every week. But Indianapolis Colts, you like to see it. Anthony Richardson playing a little bit better football, maybe saving his job for at least one more year in Indianapolis. Seattle Seahawks, everybody, maybe ending a job for the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers gets destroyed on Sunday. They officially have another losing season. Tough right there for the New York Jets. Great win for the Seahawks. Mike McDonald, 7-5 in his first season as an NFL head coach. Commanders, everybody, good win they had on Sunday, go up against Tennessee Titans, 42-19. Jane Daniels just playing some good football, so we love to see. This team had a few road bumps, few tough games. Then they get an easy game right here against Tennessee Titans, and Jane Daniels came through 42-19. They're primed for a playoff position, everybody. Houston Texans got a nice one Sunday over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, it didn't come without controversy. Azeez Al-Shaair destroys Trevor Lawrence, which was, in my opinion, one of the more dirtier hits you'll ever see in football. There's a difference between dirty hits and great hits. A great hit would be Makari Page on Will Howard on Saturday. Boom! The difference would be a terrible hit, like Azeez Al-Shaair had on Sunday against Trevor Lawrence, knocking Trevor Lawrence out. Tough to see, but I don't think that guy should play football again the rest of the season. Los Angeles Rams, everybody, got a nice one on Sunday, keeping things rolling. Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to overtime against the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young struggled a little bit early on in the game, put things together at the end of the game. Bryce Young, everybody likes to hate on him because how his first 2 years in the NFL went, because how his first 2.5 years in the NFL went, because this first half of the season wasn't great either. He's really pieced things together. I think Dave Canales is getting the best out of him. This team is only on the up and up from here, in my opinion. You're playing in a weak division, and that's going to be there for years to come. I like the trajectory this Carolina Panthers team is on, even in the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are keeping their playoff hopes alive. Philadelphia Eagles, everybody, they might just be the best team in the NFL because they got a great win on Sunday over the Baltimore Ravens. The defense played well. They contained Derrick Henry. I don't understand that. This defense has so many skilled players, and again, they stepped up. But still, for Derrick Henry, the part I don't understand is you are the guy. You are the best running back in the NFL. That's what they signed you for. Why couldn't you get it done? Saquon Barkley, he's been looking like the best player in the NFL all season long. Great win on Sunday for the Philadelphia Eagles. And for the Buffalo Bills, a really interesting matchup preseason. Let's see how San Francisco, they'll probably be a really good team going into that game, up into the cold of Buffalo. Thanksgiving type of weekend game, Sunday night. It's going to be really cold in Buffalo. Maybe the California guys won't handle it. Well, this 49ers team is terrible right now. They're below 500. They're not getting back to 500. Christian McCaffrey's out for the season now. Injury suffered on Sunday Night Football. And Josh Allen and Amari Cooper are looking like the best new connection we see in the NFL. Literally handing him off the ball in the middle of a play to get a touchdown. We love to see it. Let's move things over to the MLB to close out our headlines. We still have free agency on a roll, everybody. The Dodgers, they're making some moves. They brought back Tommy Edman, and they got the big signing with Blake Snell. Blake Snell gets some deferred money. He's going to be their new pitcher in LA. They got a great pitching staff, of course, adding to those riches with Blake Snell. And that's about the headlines this week, everybody. Now, Schoolyard Sports NFL game to everybody. We got another great slate of NFL games. Let's hop into them. First game, Thursday Night Football. Maybe the best game of the season. Packers versus the Lions. I wish this game was in Green Bay because that's prime NFC North football in the cold. But unfortunately, we're playing this one in a dome in Ford Field. Jared Goff likes to play in the domes, but Jordan Love and this Packers offense are on a roll right now, everybody. I think the Packers actually get the win on Thursday Night Football over the Lions. Cheeseheads rule. Falcons versus the Vikings. This is going to be a good game right here. Sam Darnold throwing the ball well. Kirk Cousins, maybe a little revenge game for him right here, but Kirk Cousins hasn't played well all season. I think the Vikings offense is going to do what they've done the past 2 weeks and not struggle a little bit, which keeps the Falcons in this game for a little bit longer, but eventually Vikings pull away like they always do. Vikings over the Falcons to move on to 11-2. Great record right there. Bears versus the 49ers. Bears put some things together. Caleb Williams, new head coach. I don't think they get the win, though. New interim head coach. It's not going to be their new head coach for a while, obviously. They'll get one after this season, but I don't think they get the win. 49ers finally get a win again. Without Christian McCaffrey, though, they get the win. Niners over the Bears. Browns versus the Steelers, everybody. The Browns in their last game actually beat the Steelers, and that was a great game for them. They're playing right now on Monday Night Football. That was just a great game for them. Winning on Thursday Night Football over Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think the Steelers are going to let that happen 2 times, everybody. Steelers and Pittsburgh keep their winning streak going. Move on to 10-3. Whew! Russell Wilson on fire, everybody. Steelers over the Browns. Seahawks versus the Cardinals. A little good NFC West battle. Cardinals should have won last week. Now they're at 6-6. Seahawks are at 7-5. This defense is going to smother Kyler Murray. And the Seahawks, the 12th man, get the win right here over the Arizona Cardinals. And the last game of the week, and also another great game we have, Chargers versus the Chiefs. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, they only have one loss in a year. Obviously, they're playing great football, and I say it every week. They do enough to get the win. They don't do enough this week, everybody. They don't get the win. The Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert, they run the ball great. J.K. Dobbins a little bit banged up, probably won't play in this one. You also have Jim Harbaugh coaching great in this one. Jesse Minter shows why he is going to be an NFL head coach, and they get the win on the road over the Kansas City Chiefs. And that's about Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 teams in the NFL, everybody. Posted on the Twitter, posted on Instagram. Now you get to hear my analysis on it right here. Top 5 teams in the NFL, everybody. For 5, call it controversial, it's the Kansas City Chiefs, everybody. Yes, they only have one loss. Yes, maybe I'm going out for recency bias because of their loss to the Bills, but also, that was a really tough loss to the Bills. Going on the road, I don't know if I can trust this Patrick Mahomes team, which is close in every game they play. Every game they play is one possession, and that's ridiculous when they're playing really bad teams. They could play the Titans, and it'd be a one-possession game. Sorry, Brian Callahan, Titans head coach. I had to throw a little shade right there. But still, this Chiefs team, they're a great NFL team. They're a great football team. They're not a top 4 team. They're number 5 for me. Chiefs, number 5. Number 4, Green Bay Packers. This team is clicking in all cylinders right now. Matt LaFleur is calling great plays. This defense is on fire. Jim Leonard, their defense coordinator. You got great guys all across the field. Number 4, Green Bay Packers. 3, Buffalo Bills, everybody. I think the Bills maybe should be a little bit higher. but also teams above them are just playing great football. But for the Bills, playing great football too. Josh Allen on fire. Amari Cooper, that connection is working out great. Even Keon Coleman, the rookie, stepping up a little bit. And this running game with James Cook has really impressed me. I was worried about this team going into the year. I said if this team didn't work out this year, Sean McDermott was getting the boot. And he still might get the boot if they don't make success in the playoffs. But I think they will this year, everybody. They're playing great football. 3, Buffalo Bills. Number 2, America's team, the Detroit Lions. Yes, the Detroit Lions are America's team this year, everybody. They got the Dan Campbell. He's not going to be a good offense coordinator. He's not going to be a good defense coordinator. He's not going to scheme up great plays, but he's going to motivate your team so well to where they're a top 2 team in football. And that's what the Detroit Lions are right now, everybody. Hard to deny it with their record, 11-1. 2, Detroit Lions. And number 1, the best team in football. My rivals, as a New York Giants fan, the Philadelphia Eagles. I look at this team. They're complete. Complete. You have the tight end, Dallas Goedert. You have the offensive line. You have the receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You have the quarterback for sure, Jalen Hurts. You have the best running back in the game, Saquon Barkley. You have a great defense. You have Reed Blankenship in the secondary. You have Cooper DeGee in the secondary. You have the kicker, Jake Elliott. You have N'Kobe Dean at linebacker. You have T.J. Edwards at linebacker. You have a stacked defensive line, even though Brandon Graham, unfortunately, out for the rest of the year. This team is the best team in football, everybody. There's no denying that. Eagles, number 1. That's back for my top 5 this week. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know? It's a great one, but if you're a Purdue football fan, look away. The Purdue Boilermakers, if you gave them a 34-point head start in every single game this season, their record would be 6-6. I say that again, if you let them go up 34-0 at every single game, start of every single game, you think they'd be a great team? They'd be 6-6. That's why we didn't know, everybody. Leave thoughts in the comments. Ooh, you knew it was coming, everybody. You watch this show. You listen to this show. You know my bias towards Michigan. You know my fandom towards Michigan. You see the videos on Instagram. You see how passionate I am about Michigan football. I'm more passionate about Michigan football than I am anything in my life, and that's a fact. That's a fact right there, everybody. So when I saw this Michigan football team season, rough season, after having 3 great years of success, 2021, 2022, 2023, the season Michigan had this year was just, it was unthinkable in so many people's eyes, including mine, because of the success they had in the 3 years before, and the worry and the doubt starts to creep in. This is going to be a different Michigan football team. Maybe they're reverting back to the Brady Hoke days. Maybe they're reverting back to the Rich Rodriguez days. Maybe they're reverting back to where it's just the state of Michigan, nothing flashy about it, and they'll never be a good football program again. Your mind starts to spiral. Then Sharon Moore pulls some strings, turns this season around, not with the way Michigan played in the field. The very short turnaround this Michigan football team had, and maybe not the biggest impact you could think, but I truly think that when Michigan signed Bryce Underwood, got Bryce Underwood to flip from LSU to Michigan, where he'll eventually sign next month, the early National Signing Day, the biggest commitment in Michigan football history, the biggest recruit in college football, not just quarterback, not just the state of Michigan, recruit in college football, to flip to Michigan, that flipped a switch. That brought everybody back to the Michigan football games, which was the one game against Northwestern where we had a sold-out crowd, and Michigan won that game 50-6. 50-6 over Northwestern. It's Northwestern, but winning 50-6 sets a tone because that's something Michigan couldn't do all year, and that's set a tone. Now Michigan fans don't have to worry because they have the quarterback of their future, Bryce Underwood. Okay, so when you go into this Ohio State game, Ohio State is a great football team. They just beat Indiana convincingly, an Indiana team that Michigan lost to 2 weeks before. So a lot of Michigan fans, including me, and I said this on Instagram, I will never, ever, for the rest of my life, pick against Michigan football when they play Ohio State. Never again. Because this rivalry, it doesn't matter if you're 0-11 or 11-0, it's always going to be up in there, in my opinion. It might be a blowout, but going into it, it's going to be up in there because these guys want it more than anything. More than anything, in my opinion. And that's why Michigan football won on Saturday. Ryan Day's guys. Jack Sawyer. He's a good football player. Jack Sawyer was number 1 recruit coming out of high school. JT Tuileumel, number 2 recruit coming out of high school. You couldn't have heard JTT's name the past 4 years against Michigan football. He was the number 2 recruit in college football. Up until this year's game, outside of the absolute patheticness that Jack Sawyer did, you wouldn't have heard his name in the game. Even though they were top guys, they made no impact in the game their first 3 years. So they decided to come back for this 4th game. And what did they do? I didn't hear JTT play at all. I didn't even know if he played. Jack Sawyer all I saw from Jack Sawyer was his Disney shining moment with his interception that turned out to actually be nothing, and then losing the game for Ohio State by not tackling Kalel Mullings, missing the tackle on Kalel Mullings on the huge run on 3rd and 6 to put Michigan into field goal range and put Michigan in the red zone in position to win that game. But I don't blame Jack Sawyer. I blame Ryan Day for all of this. Ryan Day took over this Ohio State program in 2019. He coached 3 games 2018 when Urban Meyer was suspended and thinks he's hot stuff. He thinks he's great stuff. He's a great team in 2019. But as my favorite head coach in football likes to say, Jim Harbaugh, some people, they're born on third base, think they hit triple. Nope. Ryan Day ended up on third base thinking he hit triple in 2019, which really never happened because that's Urban Meyer's squad. I'll say it with the Michigan person, Juwan Howard, born on third base, brought this team to the Elite Eight, thought he hit triple, born on third base. That's why he's not there anymore. That's why Michigan has a great head coach now in Dusty May. But for Ryan Day, he was born on third base. That showed in 2021. That showed in the national championship in 2020, where you have former players saying that Ryan Day was a horrible leader in that game for them. When they were down at halftime, but close margin, and they got obliterated in the second half. For Michigan to out-tough them in 2021. For Michigan to beat them badly in 2022, where the excuse was, we didn't have Jackson Smith and Jigba. In 2021, the excuse was, the weather was too bad. 2033, the excuse was, they cheated. What's the excuse now? This was a 6-5 Michigan football team going up against a 10-1 Ohio State football team. You're at home. It's your senior day. For your seniors, which is the most expensive college ball roster of all time, where you pay to get Julian Sane, you paid to get Caleb Downs, you paid to get Quinshon Junkins, you paid to bring Emeka Egbuka back, you paid to get Jack Sawyer back, you paid to get JT Tuilemal back, you paid to get Denzel Burke back, you paid to get Travion Henderson back, you paid for all these guys to come back to put up 10 points in the Michigan Wolverines and lose in front of your home crowd. Michigan didn't play well. This isn't a good Michigan football team. Michigan has a great trajectory for the future. Sherrone Moore has great recruits coming in. He's Bryce Underwood coming in. This was not a good Michigan football team, at least on the offense side of the football. Defense always had it. But Michigan was out without their 2 best players, and that's Will Johnson and Close 11 for this game, and they still got done. Ohio State couldn't stop Michigan's 3rd and 4th string tight ends. They couldn't stop Davis Warren a walk-on 3rd down plays, where I think that was the only time Davis Warren ever completed a pass, was on about 3 third down plays. But credit to Davis Warren, he doesn't make those plays. Michigan doesn't win this game. They let a former linebacker, Kalel Mullings, run all over them. Ridiculous, in my opinion. Ridiculous from Ryan Day. I'm so proud as a Michigan football fan for winning this game. But if you're an Ohio State fan, it's time for a reality check. It's time to listen to this. No need to fire Ryan Day right now. No need. You can have a chance to win a national championship. But will that happen? We all know the answer, and that's no. And I think there's a reason that Ohio State should really think about firing Ryan Day, and I look no further than this year's game. You could talk about 2021, 2022, cheaters. You could talk about 2023, cheaters. I don't think cheating had anything to do with that. I think the only thing that had to do with that was Ryan Day didn't know what toughness meant, and that's why Michigan football has won this game the past 4 years. Incredible stuff right there. That's about for my Michigan football spotlight this week. Still more to come on Schoolyard Sports Lane Frank, episode 193. Now, Schoolyard Sports Scream, everybody. I didn't want to scream out Ryan Day. I wanted to use a real thought-out segment on Ryan Day, which really, it was more of a pamphlet, more of a essay on how Ryan Day has ruined Ohio State football. But I'm going to talk about now how the Chicago Bears fully have failed Caleb Williams in his rookie year. Okay, Ryan Poles, I believe you're a good GM. You're a good general manager, Ryan Poles. You've done a good job. You built together a great roster. You got him as running back, DeAndre Swift. You got him an okay offensive line that has really killed him so far, but story for another day. You have a good defense, Jaquan Brisker, a few other guys. You have a great receiving core for Caleb Williams. The one issue was you didn't have a head coach for Caleb Williams. You said, okay, Matt Eberflus, this defensive guru, you can call him that. I mean, I don't even think the Indianapolis defense 2 years ago was that good. You call him a defensive guru coming out of Indianapolis. You hire him to be your head coach in Chicago. It's clear as day that this guy isn't ready to lead a football team. It's the NFC North. You need tough guys. You need skilled guys. Kevin O'Connell, skilled, tough guy. Dan Campbell, the toughest guy in the world. Matt LaFleur, skilled tactician. What does Matt Eberflus bring to the table? Oh, I had a great defense in 2020. I don't think so. I don't even think that defense is that great. They should have brought an offensive head coach this year, in my opinion. Without a doubt, they should have brought an offensive-minded head coach. Whether that's even a Ryan Day from Ohio State or it's a Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions, there should have been a change of the helm this year. And that's the reason why Caleb Williams is going to have a little bit of backtrack now in his career. This team should have been a lot better this season, and that's going to hurt Caleb Williams in the long run. So that's on Ryan Poles, who's a great general manager, who should stay the general manager of this team. That's on president and former Big Ten commissioner Kevin Warren, and maybe even on the owners a little bit. Tough decision to keep Matt Eberflus, and I could have predicted this from a mile away, that you get rid of him after 1 year, ruin Caleb Williams' development, and that's what's happening right now. That's about for Schoolyard Sports. Scream, everybody. Let's talk some college basketball madness, everybody, because we had some madness go on for Feast Week, as they like to call it in college basketball terms, and we had a great Feast Week. We had all the great tournaments. We had Battle for Atlantis, Oklahoma Sooners, champions of that. We had Maui Invitational, Auburn Tigers, champions of that. And my personal favorite tournament, the Players Era NIL $1 million prize to your NIL fund tournament, which the Oregon Ducks won it in the field of a bunch of ranked teams. Jackson Shellstad, Dana Altman, they won it for the Oregon Ducks. Dana Altman was a great head coach. Jackson Shellstad is a great point guard for this team. Oregon wins that tournament right there. They beat teams like Alabama. They won it over teams like Houston, Rutgers. A lot of good teams in that tournament. Houston dropped way too many games, in my opinion, losing 2 games in that tournament. But Keldon Sampson, he'll get his guys going. They're still a good team, in my opinion. It was great to see the NIL tournament, though. Outside of the NIL tournament, some big things happened in Maui, where UConn lose 3 games in 3 days when they hadn't lost 3 games in 625 days leading up to that. Insane right there. You lose by 1 point to Memphis. You lose by 1 point to Colorado. And you lose by not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10. 18 points to Dayton. 18. A little bit ridiculous right there from Danny Hurley to lose by 18 points in your last game. And he was a little bit coward in his next press conference on Monday. He said, "We will never play another multi-team event again. We will only be doing big arena games, big arena matchups. We will never be doing another tournament again." That's cowardly, in my opinion. It truly is. If you were just going to say that, should have just taken the Lakers job this offseason, Danny Hurley. You really should have done that. I'm not saying Danny Hurley should have another national championship team. I'm just saying you should have better comments after losing 3 games in Maui. There's a standard in college basketball, and I'm no fan to talk about it because my Michigan Wolverines are terrible after winning their national championship. I could have predicted this UConn fall off from a mile away. So I think there's expectations for UConn to be back to the championship level, back to be number 2 in the country, were unprecedented. I mean, unexpected, way too high, over-exaggerated how good this team is going to be. And they're not good, in my opinion. They're maybe a top 25 team. Borderline. I don't even know if they're the best team in the Big East. They're probably not, honestly. Creighton looked pretty good in the Players Era tournament. Ryan Kalkbrenner. So that's my takeaway from UConn losing 3 games in 3 days, everybody. Duke had a big matchup against Kansas, everybody. Kansas, number 1 team in the country, go up against Duke. Duke obviously has 1 loss against Kentucky. So this is a big game for John Shire. It's a big game for Bill Self. Hunter Dickinson, their star player, who, a little bit beef with because he left Michigan. He got ejected in the middle of that game, middle of the second half. It was an action-packed game. Cooper Flagg couldn't win it for them, but I think this all matters for Duke because they're getting the ball in Cooper Flagg's hands. They're letting him lose these situations so that they all pay off in March. It's a very young Duke team. They play a great Auburn team, number 2 in the country, Wednesday night at Cameron Indoor. That will determine a lot of things for me. But I think Duke, by the time March comes around, this team will be ready. It's okay to lose right now. It's not okay to lose in March. I think Duke knows that. That's why they'll maybe lean a little bit much on the freshman right now, and then eventually it'll pay off for them. Michigan basketball had a great weekend down in Florida. Danny Wolf, Dusty May, they win the Fort Myers championship over ranked Xavier team. Great turnaround Dusty May's had for this Michigan basketball team, year 1 of the era. Dylan Harper and Rutgers playing great basketball, everybody. He had back-to-back 35-point games. Couldn't get the wins to them at the Players Era tournament. Couldn't get a bunch of wins to them. I think they only had 1 against Notre Dame. But still, Dylan Harper maybe contending for that number 1 pick a little bit. Back-to-back 35-plus point games. Incredible out of a freshman in his first month of college basketball. The final thing I want to talk about for this college basketball madness is Kentucky head coach Mark Pope and what a great job he's done so far. The transfers he brought in, Lamont Butler, Kobe Brea, a lot of Kirk Krisha, so many guys in this Kentucky basketball team that are playing great for them, and that's why they're undefeated in the best team in the SEC right now, next to Auburn. That's about college basketball madness, everybody. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, College Ball Showcase, everybody. This week's College Ball Showcase, we're going to go through the top 25 teams in college football after a great rivalry week we had. I'm going to go through the conference championship picks, which have a bunch of implications this week. We're going to go with 7 hot takes this week instead of our normal 6. And at the end, I'll give you what my playoff bracket looks like, everybody. Let's hop into it. The 25th best team in college football is the UNLV Rebels with a huge matchup up against Boise State this week. Maybe if you win that game, you're in the playoff, and that's not crazy to think about. 25, UNLV. 24, Army, same thing for them. If they can win their game against Tulane and Boise State can lose their game, the Army, West Point Army, everybody, Army Knights are in the college football playoff. 23, Illinois. 22, Colorado. I love this Colorado football team. It's a shame they lost to Kansas, which they really shouldn't have done, and then they could have been in this college football playoff. 21, Texas A&M. Tough loss to Texas, just a fall from grace the past 2 weeks. Losing over to Auburn and losing over to Texas. 20, Duke. May Diaz, 9 wins in year 1 of the Duke football era. That's incredible right there. 19, Syracuse. Kyle McCord, first year at Syracuse. Fran Brown, first year as a head coach, getting 9 wins in the ACC. You love to see it. 19, Syracuse. 18, BYU. Jake Retzlaff and the BYU Cougars finish out the year 10-2. 17, Clemson. They actually have a chance to make this college football playoff somehow, some way, if they win this ACC championship on Saturday, even though they lost on last Saturday to South Carolina. 16, Iowa State. Same thing for Iowa State. They can beat Arizona State, and they're into the playoff with the Big 12 bid. 15, South Carolina. 3-loss team with the hottest team in college football. 14, Ole Miss. And I'm going to say something right here. There's a reason we play the games, and the reason we play the games is to have rankings. If we just put South Carolina above Ole Miss and above Alabama, then what do we play the games for, everybody? Ole Miss went into South Carolina and beat them 27-3. Alabama beat South Carolina. So that's why I have South Carolina 15, Ole Miss 14, and I have Arizona State 13 and Alabama at 12, everybody. 11, Tennessee. 10, Miami. 9, Indiana. 8, Ohio State. 7, Boise State. 6, SMU. Here's where it gets a little bit dicey, everybody. 5, Georgia Bulldogs. 4, Penn State. 3, call me crazy, Notre Dame. 2, Texas, and 1, Oregon. That's probably the top 25. Just get ready for the hot takes and get ready for my wacky college football playoff bracket, everybody, which will depend on what my hot take picks are. Stay tuned. Now, it's time for the hot takes, everybody. We're going to go through the 6 best conference championship games of the week, and we're going to pick winners, and we're going to see how this college football playoff unfolds, everybody. So, first game, Army versus Tulane. It's a big game right here. You know, Army, maybe if they win this game, they could be in the college football playoff with the Boise loss. Same thing for Tulane. Tough loss to Memphis last week. There's a real debate. If Tulane was able to finish the year 10-2, they could have leapfrogged the Big 12 with their win in the American Conference. But I actually have Army winning the American Conference in their first year in the conference, finishing out the year 12-1, everybody. Go Army. 12-1, first year in the American Conference. Maybe with a chance to make the college football playoff. Now, UNLV versus Boise State. This game matters, everybody. Boise State doesn't win this game, their year's over. You don't get to watch Ashton Jeanty run the ball anymore. You don't get to see any of that. You don't get to see Max Munson. You don't get to see the blue field in the playoff. You don't get any of that. What you do get is an Army football team into the college football playoff with a Boise State loss. Last time these two teams played, UNLV versus Boise State, is in Vegas. It's a neutral site right now, this game. UNLV played really well. They stacked the box against Ashton Jeanty. They've had the best game plan against Ashton Jeanty all year, and that's including teams like Oregon. Can they do it again? It's a more rundown Ashton Jeanty now than it was in the beginning of the season. That's where his rundown a little bit started a little bit. And he still had a great year, but he slowed down a little bit, Ashton Jeanty. And I think he gets slowed down even more in this game. And I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to go UNLV over Boise State, which gets Army, the Group 5 playoff bid, everybody. It's madness. It's college football. That's what you love to see. UNLV over Boise, Army over Tulane, and we have Army as a 12th seed in our college football playoff. SMU versus Clemson. I see no Clemson chaos right here. I'm going to go with SMU winning the ACC their first year in the conference. Arizona State versus Iowa State. We got another first year in the conference, first championship. Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham. This team's had an incredible turnaround from what seems like a program that could never go anywhere. Even at midseason where it's like, oh, their season's over. They're a terrible team. Now they're 10-2. Now they're about to be 11-2, and they're about to be in the college football playoff as the number 4 seed with the bye. Whew! Goosebumps. That's college football. Penn State versus Oregon. This is a really big game. Oregon, undefeated. Best team in the country. Off their record. I think that's what a lot of people like to say. Oregon is the best team in the country because of their record, because they're the only undefeated team in the country, and it makes me think, does that really mean they're the best team in the country? Maybe a 2-loss Georgia is better than them. Maybe a 1-loss Penn State is better than them. James Franklin doesn't make it to Indianapolis much. Makes it there for Big Time Media Day, and that's about it. Made it there last to play a game in 2016 when they played Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship game, and they won that game. Penn State has their guys ready for this game. They're not going to let Oregon, in their first year of the conference, win this conference. I don't think it happens. I really don't. I'm going crazy. I'm going with the upset. I'm going with Penn State to knock Oregon out of a first-round bye to win this Big Ten championship game, and that brings Penn State to the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. They're not the best team in college football, but they get the number 1 seed in the college football playoff because that's college football, and they get a huge upset in Indianapolis over Dylan Gabriel and the Oregon Ducks. I want to see it. It'd be great for college football. Penn State over Oregon. So as a Michigan fan, I never thought I'd say it. I want Penn State to beat Oregon and win the Big Ten championship, everybody. Next one, and maybe the best game all week. It is the game of the week. Georgia versus Texas. Georgia has a lot of bad games. They were very close against Mississippi State, the worst team in the SEC. They were very close against Kentucky, 13-12, a really bad Kentucky team. They were very close last week, going to 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech, which really wouldn't have impacted them. It would have just maybe made it if they didn't win this SEC championship game, they wouldn't be in the playoff. Now if they lose this game, I think they still get it, everybody. It's a huge game. Texas, on the other hand, only has one loss in the year. It's the Georgia, where they let Georgia go into their place and run them out of the building. That's where Georgia already had a loss in the season to Alabama. That's not when Georgia was at its peak. Georgia already had struggles then, and they've struggled since that game, even after beating Texas, losing to Ole Miss. Tough loss time right there. And of course, the 8 overtime game, like I just said, against Georgia Tech. I don't see Texas winning this game. I really don't. You had the opportunity in Austin, going up against Georgia, where you had the opportunity to win that game and prove that you are the solidified number 1 team in the country. It was at your place. Now you're going up to Atlanta. It's a road game, like Steve Sarkisian said. It's a road game. You may be playing at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a road game to go up against Georgia Bulldogs in Atlanta. SEC championship game. And like I said, with the Big Ten, they're not going to let a first-year team in the conference win that conference in year 1. Penn State won't allow Oregon to do it. Georgia won't allow Texas to do it. Texas still gets into the playoff, but Georgia wins this game right here and wins the SEC. So my conference champions are Army, UNLV, SMU, Arizona State, Penn State, and Georgia Bulldogs. Stay tuned. Coming up next, my college football playoff bracket, everybody. So in the first year, the 12-team college football playoff, instead of picking teams who I think will win this playoff, I'm going to put who I think should be in this playoff, everybody. Let's hop into it. I already have Penn State as my number 1 seed in this college football playoff. Georgia, SEC champions, number 2. Number 3, your ACC champions, SMU ponies. Number 4, the Arizona State Sun Devils out of the Big 12. And that's about it for the buys, everybody. Those are the buys. Those are the teams that get a first-round bye in the college football playoff. Now it gets dicey with the 5 through 12. The at-large bids and the number 12 seed, Army, which gets the group of 5 bid. So, 5 through 11, up in the air, everybody. I might have it different than what you have. You might want a team like South Carolina in there, which I might have in there too. I don't know if I have a 3-loss team in here. You're just going to have to wait and see. We're 5, Oregon Ducks. Yes, Oregon, number 1 team in the country. They lose this game. They don't have a huge fall from grace. They get the number 1 at-large bid, and they will be hosting a playoff game. Same thing with number 6, Notre Dame. And I think it's ridiculous that Notre Dame can't get a first-round bye. I would give Notre Dame a first-round bye over teams like SMU and ASU in a heartbeat, yet they don't do that because they can't be a conference champion. I think that's a little bit of a ridiculous rule right there that they can't have a first-round bye. But nonetheless, they'll be hosting a college ball playoff game. They're at number 6. Number 7, Texas Longhorns. They fall down a little bit for me, but they're still in the college ball playoff. Number 8, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, this team should still be in the playoff. Yes, they still have good wins. Yes, they have one quality loss to Oregon on the road. Okay, they lost to a bad Michigan team. Yes. A lot of teams in the college ball playoff this year have lost to bad, unranked teams. Ohio State is one of them, yet theirs just seems bad because it's a rivalry game. They should still be in the college football playoff, and I hate to say as a Michigan fan, they should still be in the college football playoff. They're the number 8 team in the country. Number 9, this one might be a little controversial, the Miami Hurricanes. Miami is a great football team. They have 2 losses, and that's on the road to Syracuse and on the road to Georgia Tech. Really tough matchups. Georgia Tech, we just saw what they did on the road to Georgia, and Syracuse finished the year with 9 wins. They were a great team. Miami has quality wins in the swamp over Florida, at home over Duke. Something South Carolina couldn't do was have less than 3 losses. 3 losses on the year for South Carolina, that's tough. They're not in my college ball playoff. Alabama couldn't do that. They couldn't have less than 3 losses. They're not in my college ball playoff. And the big one that a lot of people are going to disagree with because they beat Georgia as well is Ole Miss. Ole Miss went down to the Swamp and they lost to Florida. Miami went down to the Swamp. They beat Florida. They have the edge for me. 9 Miami, 10 Indiana, 11 Tennessee, and we have 12 Army, everybody. That's the college football playoff. Let's run through what these matchups are going to look like. We'll have 12 Army at number 5 Oregon. That's going to be an awesome college football game. And the winner of that game will play the Arizona State Sun Devils. Number 11 Tennessee at Notre Dame. That's going to be an electric college football game. The winner of that game will play the SMU Ponies. Number 10 seed Indiana going against number 7 seed Texas. Indiana at Texas. And the winner of that game will play Georgia. So Texas could play Georgia for a third time this season. Number 9 at Miami in the last matchup going against number 8 Ohio State. Miami at Ohio State. The little guys down in Miami, or gets a little bit sunny weather, going up to maybe the fake toughness of Ohio State, where they got snow. It'll be snowing in Ohio in December for that game. Miami at Ohio State. Ohio State gets to go up against the guy they wanted over Will Howard. That's Cam Ward. Cam Ward gets to go up against the team that he wants to beat, and that's Ohio State. 9 Miami at Ohio State. We'll play the winner. We'll play Penn State. So Ohio State could also play Penn State for a second time this season. These are great college football matchups, everybody. Great college football matchups. And that's what I really think is exciting about this 12-team playoffs. So a little bit confusing if you think about it, but go back, look at it. You see the bracket on the screen. That's about my college football playoff predictions, everybody. Now, the best for last question day. This week's question day is, does the NBA Cup matter, everybody? We've had some NBA players like LeBron James say the NBA Cup doesn't matter, even though we saw him popping champagne after they won it last year. But does the NBA Cup matter in your opinion? Leave your answer in the comments. I think it does. It's still treated as real games on your record. You may not care about winning the whole thing, but you want to win games on your record. That's important to me, in my opinion. That's important for playoffs. As a New York Knicks fan, as a basketball fan, you should be excited about the NBA Cup and into the NBA Cup. So yes, it does matter, and that's about for question day this week. That's about for Schoolyard Sports, Lane Frank, episode 193. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports at X at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. We'll be back here next week, episode 194. Stay tuned.